Welcome to Speakernomics, the official podcast of the National Speakers Association. Created by speakers, for speakers. It's your fast track to sharper skills, bigger impact, and a smarter speaking business. Subscribe and download using the link below. And step into the spotlight.
Hello, and welcome to Speakernomics, the National Speakers Association podcast, here to help speakers elevate their excellence by sharing expertise and challenging one another to improve. I'm Ann Bonney, CSP, and I am Lucky Duck because I am one of your 2026 Speakernomics hosts, and I get to interview our amazing colleagues to elevate your excellence in this glorious career of ours. And today, I am lucky enough to be interviewing one of your 2026 Influence Main Stage speakers on a very important and very uncomfortable topic of cybersecurity. Our guest today is John Sileo, and he lost everything. His multi-million-dollar company, life savings, 2 years of early fatherhood, 2 cyber criminals who stole his identity. Wrongly implicated, nearly jailed, John rose from the digital rubble with a mission to turn his deeply personal loss into a powerful force for good. He's an NSA Hall of Fame speaker, award-winning author, and a trusted cybersecurity expert. And he's been trusted by little organizations you may have heard of, like the Pentagon and maybe Amazon and many, many more. He's the CEO of the Sileo Group. Sorry, I got Italian there for a sec. He is CEO of the Sileo Group, a former NSA advisory board member, and a Harvard honors graduate. But all of that professional stuff has always taken a back seat to time he spends with his family and with his NSA friends who help him turn life's lemons into something a whole lot sweeter and a whole lot more fulfilling. John, thank you so much for joining us today.
And it is super fun to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, you're welcome. And it's awesome to have you here because you're going to be one of our main stage speakers at Influence in July in Austin. You're talking about cybersecurity, which unfortunately you have become an expert in. How did you end up becoming an expert in this?
Well, yeah, it was kind of the hard way. It was, through fear. Which was after losing everything. So I had 2 cases of cybercrime, and I'll talk about those stories on the stage, but 2 cases, kind of a personal case, which was identity theft. That was turned into a movie, which is kind of fun. And then a business case, which is really what people in the audience are going to be there to hear. Actually, it's both. The business side of it, of how do you protect your speaker business, your revenue, your reputation for all of us who exist on what the world thinks about what our clients think of us. So I'm going to share the couple of stories that really took, like you said, a couple of years out of my life, lost everything financially, lost my business. And it led to an amazing speaking career that has been unbelievable. But in the meantime, those 3 to 5 years were pretty difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things you say is that it's not a tech threat. It's a you threat. So set the stage a little bit for me, because when I was getting ready to interview, I was like, it's just me. It's probably not that big a deal. So explain this a little bit to me.
Yeah. So we tend to think that, that cybersecurity, cybercrime is all about the technology. But you'll see, in the keynote and in the deep dive, it's really about the human decisions around the technology. And that's something that a lot of corporations miss out on. They mistrain, they undertrain. Where small businesses, you can go back and you can implement this stuff like day of. It's not that difficult. So, a good example. I recently worked with a speaker office that was successfully hacked of its client list, right? So that's all of the clients that every speaker wants access to. We think it was by a competitor. We're not totally certain. But that gives whoever hacked it, the cyber criminal and or the competitor, a huge competitive advantage in the marketplace, knowing who is hiring, what are the names, what are the phone numbers, what have they hired for before. And that was all based on a kind of an AI enhanced version of phishing. And I'm sure most of the people out there know what phishing is already. You get the
Phishing with a PH, not with an F, right?
with the PH, yeah.
Yeah.
You get the link and you click on it and you download the malware, you upload your login credentials. Well, AI has totally changed the way that those work, of course. It does a lot of the heavy lifting for the cyber criminals. And so a bad choice, rather a lack of awareness on the part of a staffer, not even the speaker, but a staffer giving away information, and that led that speaker office, that kind of bureau, so to speak, to lose its entire customer database. Those type of things are, have a massive revenue impact.
Yeah. And then the reputation piece. I mean, we all protect our IP, we protect our reputation because especially today, that's kind of what we've got. We've got expertise, but that reputation is everything these days. And so when you're talking about cybersecurity concerns that way, what are our concerns?
Oh gosh, I don't like to peddle too much fear because it only goes so far. But I've seen reputations destroyed by deepfake videos of speakers out there saying things that they didn't actually say. Whether that's oftentimes it's for a blackmail type situation for financial money, and it's a foreign national doing that. But it can also be from competitors. Unfortunately, I have the burden and the pleasure of getting to see speaker businesses behind the scenes and all of the things that happen. Reputation damage is probably one of the hardest because, as you know, once it's on the internet, getting it off is exceptionally difficult. And when you're up there saying something, and I don't know if you can tell the difference, but I see a lot of these deepfake videos and I can't tell when something's fake or not anymore. And seeing a speaker with words in their mouth that are not theirs, that are damaging to their reputation and their career, it's absolutely devastating.
Yeah, definitely something we all need to be aware of. So what are some of and you're going to do your main stage, which you'll tell your story and everything, but then you're also going to do a deep dive with some of those tactics. Leading up, I mean, we don't want to peddle fear, but we do want to peddle awareness. Is there any big red flag things people as speakers should be looking out for? As we sort of on our way to July when we learn the deeper dive?
Yeah, there's a host of things. So between the two sessions, we'll cover a bunch. We'll take a look at virtual assistants committing the inside job, so to speak, insider theft, where you're paying them a low dollar amount, but they're making a high dollar amount by selling off your IP, your slide deck, your client list, your relationships, that type of thing. The deep fakes we've talked about, the travel, all the issues that we have with travel, right? I mean, I get a call once a month from a speaker who has had their laptop stolen off of the lectern. Why does that matter? They do the AV check, they put it on the lectern, it's live, right? It's not password protected at that point, and it disappears when the AV team leaves a room or whatever. Those panic-stricken calls that I get, and I don't work on the recovery side, but I will help people prevent. How do you keep that from happening? Those type of things are really critical because we are constantly moving and so busy and utilizing so many different aspects. AI, it's another one. We had a speaker that contacted us that had put their financials up on AI. Well, when you're sharing with AI, who are you sharing with? Everybody, right? You put your client list up there to organize it, to put it in a spreadsheet or whatever, and you don't have the settings correct in ChatGPT or Gemini, everything is out there. It's public consumption.
Wow. So there's a lot to this, and it's worth paying attention. I mean, give a little bit of an understanding of what happens to a business or to when it is stolen, because I think it's really important for us to understand the weight of this and the challenge that ensues. As yeah.
The weight. I mean, I try and communicate that definitely with my story of having lost everything, a 2-year criminal trial, more than $1 million, Probably the biggest thing people don't consider is you're not working during this time. You're completely consumed by it. So the reputation damage, the fact that you're in the news or the papers, as I was, the loss of revenue, you're not showing up to your gigs, you're not getting the new gigs. The tentacles just go to all aspects of your career, and so I have watched businesses go down completely, go out of business. I've watched speaker fees cut in more than half because of the reputation damage. I mean, when you come at the top, as I did for a bit, as having been the thief, I was the one implicated in the whole thing. It takes everything away from you. It's devastating.
Yeah. And that's just logistically, not only what it does to your psyche and your sense of trust and your sense of security and all of that.
And your bank account. I mean, there's a person, there's going to be a person in the audience at Influence, as long as they're still going, that lost $780,000 of investments because of a single decision that their business manager made. Not that they made, but the business manager made. That's when the numbers are that high, we're not talking $1,000 or $3,000 in most cases when it's business type of cybercrime. Yeah. Personal, maybe so. So the implications for bank accounts, profit, reputation, and most importantly, I think you'll understand this more, in the keynote, the time that it takes from you is devastating. And that's the part that was so hard for me.
It's the last thing you want to spend your time doing.
You bet.
Yeah. Well, so now let me shift gears a little bit here. You are a CSP, you are a CPAE, you're a very well-established speaker. We'll get off of cybersecurity because everybody's going to come to Influence and see you there anyway. I'm always curious what's the one piece of advice you give new speakers who are interested in having a career in this, other than protect your cybersecurity?
I love that question. Yeah. Put a pin in that for a sec. I'm going to do in the breakout, in the deep dive at 2:30, I'm going to go through kind of 5 or 6 of the NSAers, the giants that really influenced me, that gave me tips. And these weren't from the stage tips. These were, having dinner, having coffee in the hallway, the type of stuff that really makes a difference. And I'll spend 10 or 15 minutes just going through the things that made an absolute 100% difference in my life, revenue-wise, business-wise, happiness-wise. Maybe not the same things that you've heard in these other type of things. And it's going to be totally off the cuff, not prepared. Just these are the things that made a huge difference. One of them that has made a massive difference to me is, and I don't know if this is for a newbie speaker or not getting started, but I flew to close deals. So if I had a warm lead and it was in St. Pete, right, and I'm in Denver, I could take a day, I could be down there, I could have a 15-minute coffee. Hey, I'm going to be in St. Pete anyway. Can I meet you near your office or your home? Nobody ever said no. 15-minute coffee that turned into an hour or 2-hour conversation. I made the sale. It cost me $250 or $500, so that's not nothing, right? But later in the career, that was well worth it. And I would close a deal in a very short amount of time. Nobody else was doing that, and that was a very effective way for me to get going early on.
Well, and I love that, because as speakers, we're the product, right? I mean, the magic is by being in person, is even more so now than ever. The magic is being in person with us and being able to kind of feel what it is they're going to get. So I love that. That's brilliant.
Yeah. It was just I've been a low volume speaker my whole career because I lost everything, mostly my time. And what I didn't want to do was spend more time on the road than I had to. Mm-hmm. So everything I've done was geared to how do I do the best job with the lowest number of gigs? And to do that and fly in and out, I wasn't going to be gone for a night, right? I'd take that 6 a.m. flight and I'd be back that night. Anything I could do to keep those 25 to 30 gigs a year really healthy was how I did it.
Nice. And did you have one of the biggest challenges we all face is how we balance running around the country with our real life at home that we love to spend time in. And you already said one of the things you did where you're like, I'm a low volume speaker. I'm not doing 100 and whatever gigs a year. Right. That was one of your strategies. What other strategies do you have to find that balance between a successful speaking career and life and your family and the beautiful place you live?
Yeah, I'm exceptionally lucky. I think probably the most important strategy, and you'll see it, in the deep dive, it's the people that I hung around. And, Larry Wingett, who is one of the people that I'll share his wisdom that he gave me in his hard-edged way early in my career. He said something like, you hang around the 5 people who earn what you want to earn. And for me, that was, I didn't take that directly because it wasn't just about the earning. But what I did was I've got a small group of NSA people who I have hung around with that live the kind of lives that I want to live. And so I've kind of gotten rich in that way. And that team is really probably the best thing for me. NSA, first of all, had I not shown up there, I would not be where I am. And then the people that I chose to be friends with and learn from, that absolutely was by far the number one thing that pushed my career up.
Yeah. And that's what every time I talk to a new speaker, I'm like, NSA is great. They give great information. And the best thing is the people. The people you're going to meet is just, without question. So I think we all love that. Do you have an influence strategy? I mean, I know this year it's going to be a little different because you're main stage and you're doing a breakout. So you'll be busy, doing the behind the scenes stuff. But I feel like a lot of people who are successful at influence, which is like a fire hose, have a strategy. Do you have one?
God, I don't know if I should share my strategy or not. I tend to be the one in the hallways. I tend to be the one at the pool. That's awful to say. And this is at the times that I'm not in the main stage or I'm not in a breakout that I really want to see. But, I'm also 20 years on. So I am trying to take in less information. And that probably sounds awful, but I really curate what I do and who I see. And it's much more casual than the average person. So I'll go to the keynote and then we'll have a break for 20 minutes or we'll have lunch. I'm in the hall or I'm having a coffee with somebody and it's not very planned other than I know who I want to see.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, I went surfing last Influence. Remember they had that wave pool?
Yes.
Christoph, a guy that I kind of knew from a mastermind group, but didn't know him really well. He's like, I went surfing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to go. So we ended up going surfing and we totally bonded. And now we're dear friends and he's on my speed dial, my speaker speed dial. So, I mean, it's valuable time.
It's so valuable. I mean, I get my money out of just the hallways and showing up that I don't really feel like I have to over plan it. And early on, I probably did more like, hey, I'm publishing a book. I need to get to this session. And that's super important. Or I want to increase my YouTube strategy or learn AI or whatever. Now it's much more strategic than that. And I just want to, hey, I want to talk to this person about how they do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Or just make that connection because they seem to be doing what I want to do. Yeah.
That's really it, which is going to see friends. I mean, at this point, going to see friends is 90% of what I do at Influence.
Yep. That's amazing. So going into Influence, coming up, we're going to enjoy is probably the wrong word, but be very inspired and very informed by your sessions. Is there anything on the way to Influence that you want to tell people, make sure you do this, and I'll give you all the other details when we get there? Keep ourselves safe
if I were to tell you the piece of advice that I'd have, I wouldn't be able to do the live hack that I'm planning on at the performance. So no, I'm giving no advice. Show up. That's where you'll get the good stuff.
You'll get it firsthand. I love it. John Sileo, Main Stage Influence 2026 in Austin. Be there, everyone. John, we can't wait to hear what you've got for us.
Thank you so much, Ann Bonnie. It's lovely talking to you. We'll see you there.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Speakernomics. If you want more bookings, credibility, and connections, your NSA community is waiting for you. Join NSA today. Click the link below and follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and download this podcast wherever you listen.